My name's Corey Thompson. This is for SCOM 345. It's entitled Practical Ministry, the Church as the Hands and Feet of Jesus Christ. According to the most recent estimate from the World Bank Poverty Overview, over 12.7% of the global population lives on less than $1.90 a day. That translates out into over 896 million people. Here in the United States, 14.8% of the U.S. population live below the poverty line. And right here in Bartow County, where most of us call home, 14.3% live below that poverty line. Now, you'd think during times like this, when people are asking questions and are hurting, that church attendance would grow. But studies show that the inverse is actually true. Over the last decade, church attendance has dropped steadily. In Matthew 22:36-40, Jesus was asked what the greatest commandment was, and he said to love the Lord your God with all your heart and all of your soul and all of your mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And studies show that it's this last part that people out in the world feel that we're failing at. They feel that we are not loving people the way that we should. There's a lot of reasons for this. There's all kinds of things that we could talk about that could be causes of this phenomenon. But one of the things that I think is apparent is that we have become too comfortable ministering inside the four walls of the church. We're using the word church as a building and not as a body of believers. We've moved away from practical ministry. And what I mean by practical ministry is for us to be the hands and feet of Christ. The church has a God-given responsibility to help those that are hurting in their homes, in their communities, and in the world. And by doing this, we can change the perceptions of the public on what the church is about. We can win the souls of the lost. We can provide opportunities for ministry for everyone and build our personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, I'm not trying to discount what other people do or what anybody does. There's a lot of great programs out there that help people, but 90% of the work are done by 10% of the people. If everybody pitched in, things would go a lot smoother for everybody. And I also know that the problem's larger than poverty. There's a lot of atrocities out there in the world that we could be looking at. But I feel like, given that we're all middle-class people, we've never been poor, but we know what it's like to be broke or to be, counting our change, trying to get something from time to time. So it's an easy thing to try and grasp. So let's talk about the changing of the perceptions of the church. Now, I know that we're not supposed to worry so much about what the world thinks. We're more concerned with Jesus. But our perception in the public is what brings people to us. We as the church have the ability to be an agent of change for the world around us. If somebody doesn't like what's going on or they don't believe that we are sincere in something, they're not going to come to us. In addition, a lot of people say that we're all words, no actions. That goes in with the ministering to the people inside the church and not doing any kind of outreach. Plus, there are atrocities that have been committed in the name of God. There's situations with the KKK, the Westboro Baptist Church, even going so far back as to the Inquisition. All of those things are things that were wrong that were backed up by people's misinterpretation of the Bible. Now, part of the reason that we're looked at this way is because we're held to a higher standard. In Matthew 5, they talk about us being the salt and light. And the light is the light of Christ shining through us, but it also draws attention to us. We are seen differently if you are a professing Christian and you screw up versus someone who is not and you screw up. So how can we change the view? How can we change what people think about the church? I want to paraphrase from James 2, in which it says, "What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? If someone's poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, be warmed and filled,' without giving them the things they need for the body, what good is that?" Basically, what that means is don't just say something, do something, help somebody. Make it so your words mean something, so they are actions. Also, we're supposed to love others. It's through loving others that we can reach them, and it ties back into the greatest commandment about loving your neighbor as yourself. Now, there's a difference between worldly love and biblical love. In the four loves, C.S. Lewis wrote about these. There's 3 worldly and 1 biblical. The worldly are the love of your family, love of your friends, the romantic love between a husband and wife. The spiritual love is the unconditional love of Christ, known as agape. And this is what we are trying to show to the lost. This is how we get them into the fold. Loving the lost allows Christ to shine through our love, as I said earlier. In addition, there's the saying, you get more flies with honey than with vinegar. If you're trying to minister to somebody and you're being a jerk about it, a lot of times you're going to turn them off to what you have to say. But if you're coming from a standpoint of love and from caring and compassion, that can open up avenues that have previously been closed. In addition to this, it provides opportunities for ministry for everybody. Good works are contagious. Author Ted Rivera says that serving is not evangelism, but the soil in which the gospel best flourishes. What that means is through serving other people, we open up opportunities to share the gospel. Through practical ministry, anybody can do something. If you're shy, you don't have to get up in front of a bunch of people and say a speech. Maybe you help pack lunches for the homeless, or you volunteer somewhere where you're working behind the scenes. Maybe you don't have a whole lot of money, but you're pretty good with a hammer, and you can go on the weekends and do work in the community, during your spare time. The big deal is we all have something to offer, and everybody has an opportunity to use their skills for Christ. Finally, through doing practical ministry, you're able to strengthen your own walk with God and feel good doing it. Let's face it, doing good for others makes you feel good. The fact that Christ was a servant means that if we serve, we are being Christ-like. We are becoming more like God, which also should make you feel good as a Christian. Everybody has a part to play. Like I said before, there's opportunities for everyone. The big deal is seeing the love of Christ shining through others. This summer, my family and I had the opportunity to be a part of a summer feeding program for underprivileged children in the community. And in doing that, we got to experience just some great things going on in the lives of these kids. We got to share the gospel with them, help them get a good meal to eat. And it was great to see their reaction to what we were doing and the reaction of the people we were working with as well. So I know I'm just scratching the surface on what you can do as far as practical ministry goes, but the big thing is for everybody to get involved and do something to help those around us. I'd like to close with a quote from Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He was a German theologian, and he said that your life as a Christian should make non-believers question their disbelief in God. If we all lived this way, if we all strove to live this way, we would be the hands and feet of Christ, and we would be fulfilling that responsibility to help people in our homes, in our community, and in our world. And as such, we would change perceptions of the church, win souls for the kingdom, provide opportunities for everyone to be involved in ministry, and build our personal relationship with Christ.